certain Medicaid enrollees to pay out of pocket. The White House wouldn't even defend it on condition of anonymity. Rural hospitals, Warren could force the closure of some of them or require significant cuts in care.
We have a CNN fact check about the big beautiful bill currently passing through Congress, as Trump has ramped up his lies about it, obviously. So I thought it would be insightful to go through what's true and what's false in this video. So leave us a like if you can. It gives us a huge boost in the algorithm, and let's jump right in.
It objectively does not leave Medicaid the same. It is objective fact that this legislation makes major changes and indeed major cuts to Medicaid. So what kinds of changes are we talking about? Well, one of them that has received a lot of discussion is a work requirement, specifically a requirement that many recipients considered able-bodied who do not have young children prove that they are working or in school or in job training or volunteering 80 plus hours a month. And that's not the only big change. The legislation would require for the first time certain Medicaid enrollees to pay out of pocket for certain health services. There would be significant changes to the so-called provider tax that rural hospitals, Warren, could force the closure of some of them or require significant cuts in care. It imposes additional administrative burdens on people and states. So again, good or bad, defend it or not defend it, this is big stuff. And how big? Well, the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says we're talking $930 billion cut in federal support for Medicaid over 10 years. That is the biggest Medicaid cut in history, according to many experts. And that would, of course, impact real people. This nonpartisan CBO estimates that we're talking about 11.8 million additional uninsured people in 2034.
And to not be forgotten, on top of 12 million people being pulled off of Medicaid, there will be another few million taken off of Medicare from the budget shortfalls that this bill causes in debt. An important part that he mentioned that's not getting covered as much is how even those who are keeping their Medicaid will be affected, right? There will now be out-of-pocket costs that never existed before. These are the lowest income earners in America. It moves the states, there will also be additional administrative costs and burdens, and the efficiency of the program is also going to drop when you do the largest Medicaid cut in American history. It's a full-on assault of our healthcare system just to fund that money into corporations.
It's a great bill. It's a massive tax cut. If it's not approved, your taxes will go up by 68%. Think of that, 68, a record, the highest in the history. The Democrats won't approve it only because politically it's so good for the Republicans. The Democrats aren't approving it. But think of what they're not approving. They're not approving border security. We've done a great job at the border, but we have to add some wall. We have to do various things. We have no money for that.
This 68% figure is fiction, and it is such fiction that the White House wouldn't even defend it on condition of anonymity when I asked for comment. No defense whatsoever. There is no credible estimate that not passing this legislation would produce a 68% tax hike. Now, the nonpartisan think tank, the Tax Policy Center, did say that there would be an average tax hike of about 7.5% if this bill didn't pass as a result of certain provisions from the 2017 Trump tax law being allowed to expire. And they also said that about 64% of households would face some sort of tax increase if the bill didn't pass. But again, 64% of households getting some tax increase is not synonymous, guys, with a 68%.
And this is horrendous framing, as he debunked and we'll touch on, but even if you accept his premise and you say, oh, well, if you cared about these tax cuts so much, then why did he make them temporary in the first place and make the rich guy tax cuts permanent? Why are they only going to be temporary again if they're so important? Why is it every time that the rich guy tax cuts are permanent, so then every time we have to renew the ones for the middle class, the rich get even more tax cuts, which shifts the tax burden and defunds our social programs even more? It's just an endless way to currently reduce their tax break and pull money from our spending programs and to try to trap Democrats into doing it. So it looks like they're voting against the middle class tax cuts when what they oppose is the disproportionate lean towards the rich and the money funneled from the social programs. Why not just put a permanent earned income tax credit, permanent child tax credit, permanent no tax on tips, overtime, or Social Security on the floor? Every Democrat's voting for that.
One of those amendments is going to come from Senator Rick Scott of Florida. He has proposed reducing the federal payments to states that had expanded Medicaid under President Obama. There's also Senator Susan Collins, who's expected to introduce an amendment relating to a rural hospital fund. A lot of people will also be paying attention to Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. Senate leadership had initially included two provisions provisions that would have benefited Alaska and Hawaii in the bill over the weekend, but then the Senate parliamentarian ruled that those provisions could not be included. So it's a big question of whether, without those provisions, if she would be a yes on this bill. Now, Senate Republicans can only afford to lose 3 GOP votes on this bill. Over the weekend, 2 Republican senators voted against a procedural hurdle. That was Senator Rand Paul and Senator Tom Tillis, who very quickly then announced that he would not be seeking re-election.
I mean, it's clear the reason it's getting trouble getting even Republican support in some areas is because it's a death wish, right? It's unpopular in polling. It defunds very popular social programs to fund rich guy tax cuts that aren't very popular. It might be easy to sell in these comfortable red districts or like Trump counties, but to those with moderate voters who just want their lives to get better, right, who are on these programs, they don't want their Medicaid touched. They don't want their food stamps taken away. They don't want their grandparents' Medicare threatened. And if you vote in support of that, there's going to be repercussions when these people go to vote. I mean, imagine having to look a family in the eyes in a rural area and tell them, yeah, I voted to defund rural hospitals and your kids' free lunch at school because Trump wants corporate tax cuts. I mean, it's genuinely appalling. It's a robbery of the poor to give to the rich. So much so that even some conservatives are like, hold on, guys, do we really want to go this far?